There are few narrative tropes that I love more than what I like to call the antagonist reversal. What I mean by that, it's when you are telling the story of a villain, but you're telling it through a more sympathetic lens. Think of the OG Joker movie, so not the musical sequel. You could even put Avengers Infinity War in there to a degree. Again, it's movies where it's told that we're seeing the bad guy and everything that they go through, and we as the audience are, we're made to support their actions to a degree. When you think about Dracula in terms of fiction, he's usually depicted as one of the biggest, baddest villains around. Again, 90% of the time. The topic of today's video though, it does the antagonist reversal, and it gives us a version of Dracula who really isn't all that bad. I'm Guapo Jim, and today we're gonna be breaking down Dracula Untold and why this film about an altruistic Prince of Darkness is actually a true hidden gem. So, for those of you who don't know or are too young to remember, Dracula Untold is a 2014 film that gives us a more heroic retelling of the classic Dracula storyline. While it takes place in a more historically accurate setting, it goes the modern route by giving Dracula an origin story, if you will. We get to see the type of man that he was before he became undead, and having this perspective, it really does add a lot of nuance to the character and everything that he ultimately does and becomes. Basically, we as the audience, we get to follow Prince Vlad. Again, so while my guy was royalty, please do not let that fool you, because there was nothing sweet about Vlad in the slightest. They still called him, they called him Vlad the Impaler, all right? And again, for many parts of the story, my guy really was about that life. Like I'm telling you, he was with the shits. By the time that we catch him though, he's kind of retired and he's just trying to be a good father and like a good leader to all of his people. He's put the sword down, if you know what I mean, and he's just trying to be chill and shit, But when this enemy empire, it invades his land and his kingdom, and they start demanding shit, Vlad, he gets put into an impossible corner. Outgunned and outmatched in just about every way, he turns to the one thing that's more dangerous than the enemies that he's fighting, which happens to be this ancient evil that lives up in the mountains just past the village where he lives. Again, if you watch the movie, you'll see what I'm talking about. The desperate bid to become strong enough to protect his family and his people, Vlad makes a pact that basically grants him your typical vampire powers. He's strong, he's fast, he can fly, he can turn into bats, the whole nine. I don't need to go into it like that, The thing is though, that all of these powers, obviously, they're gonna come at a great cost. So again, my guy, he's quite literally a vampire. While he is trying to save his kingdom, he's also trying to not go full Alucard. Comment down below if you got that reference, because if you did, you're a real one still. Untold, it reimagines the Vampire King not as this soulless monster, but more as a tragic hero who's trying to walk the razor's edge between damnation and noble duty. With its moody visuals, along with this real brooding intensity, the film, it explores just how far one man will go to protect his family and his kingdom and, just everything that it means to become a legend, even if that legend is a tad bit more infamous than famous. Hey, what's going on, slime? If you're watching this right now, I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna assume that you're a fan of your more unorthodox sci-fi movies. If that's the case, Cowboys and Aliens would be your shit. I've actually done a video breakdown about that film, and I've left the link in the description down below. Do yourself and your boy a favor and check that shit out. You will not be disappointed. I also do want to add, this is a small channel. So if you do like this type of content and you want to help support Guapo Jim Ministries, I'm going to need you to like, subscribe, comment, share, all that YouTube algorithm shit. It really helps the channel grow, and again, all support really is super appreciated. With that out of the way, let's get back to some Dracula Untold, alright? From a production standpoint, this movie was conceived and designed to be more of an origin story for Dracula. The directors and writers involved were really interested in telling the Dracula story from a more dramatic and less horror-based standpoint. With the MCU in full swing, again, they tried to mimic the more heroic approach that was popular at the time, and the final product of this film, I won't lie, it did just that. Kind of a side note, but Universal Studios, they were trying to create their own monsters universe, if you will, and this movie, it would have been a springboard into that, and it kind of would have been a part of that whole universe. Unfortunately though, those plans, they kind of fell through, and that's probably for the best. When it came to the box office though, I'm not gonna lie, this movie, it did kind of well still. It made about $200 million, so it's not like niggas went broke making this movie. In terms of critical reception, a lot of critics, they found this movie kind of dull. It's kind of funny though. One critic actually found quite a few Jesus parallels in the Dracula character. I know that Dracula is not necessarily designed to be the devil or anything, but it's kind of funny that somebody would watch this movie and find allusions of Christ in the Dracula storyline. Again, what the fuck do I know though, right? I'm just some YouTube guy. If you do ever want to watch this movie for yourself and see what I'm talking about, you can find it streaming today on Netflix and on Prime Video. In all, I quite enjoyed this movie. As I said before, I'm really a big fan of the antagonist reversal, and I really thought that this movie hit that well. The period piece aspect, again, I love period pieces when they're done well, and this movie, it did it well. It was sick, but more than anything, you can really feel Vlad's plight. Like, you can tell that this is a man who's just trying to do everything in his power to save his family and to save his kingdom. Obviously, shit goes completely left, and Vlad has to get his back in blood, pun intended, but again, I was all down for it. You guys know me, I love that shit. The action sequences, they were really well done, but more than that, it had my attention, you know? I never really got bored of this film. Is it without its flaws? Fuck no. Every movie's got its flaws, but overall, I still thought that this movie was sick still. Anyway, you guys know me, I'm always trying to put you onto some next shit, and I just wanted to let you guys know why Dracula Untold isn't just some movie about a more noble retelling of the Dracula story, but why it's quite actually a true hidden gem. Thank you if you've made it this far. If you're a real fan of this type of content, I'm gonna need you to like, subscribe, and comment down below, and let me know which other movies or films were true hidden gems. Until the next time we meet, stay safe, later days.